we have more and more people that have no traditional database type of background that actually work directly with the data.
You're listening to Data Revolution,
the show about data, innovation, and economics in the rapidly changing cloud world.
Hey, Francesco.
Hello.
How are you?
Not too bad.
I know you met with Oded and Dave, correct?
Yes, it was a really interesting discussion about a lot of topics. I sat down with Dave, which is a senior software engineer at Helthjem, and with Oded, which is the founder of EverSQL, and now is a director of product management at Ivan, focusing on AI. So what we covered is a couple of topics. We understood how companies are adopting cloud to gain velocity, to gain agility, to focus on what matters to them. But at the same time, we understood what are the kind of potential risk of the cloud adoption, which is more or less lack of knowledge, or start missing the knowledge that you needed to run certain software, certain databases. And focusing on databases then, we started understanding which skills you need to have in order to properly manage, to properly optimize them, and where AI could be a good fit into the journey. Specifically talking about the EverSQL journey, the use case, and also how this applies to a variety of people going from single developers to cloud ops to C-level, and understanding how just something that it feels it's only a technological solution can give wider benefits to the entire company.
Well, I'm really excited to hear this talk that you had with them, because one of the reasons I joined Ivan was because of the EverSQL acquisition. It was happening around the time I interviewed, so I thought it was super interesting. So I actually haven't heard a customer live talking about how they're using it in their team, so I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, Oded, it's a pleasure having you here, and I believe we will talk today about kind of the evolving needs of the data platform. So, Dave, I would like to start with you. Can you talk us about your needs and Helthjem needs and your story about building a data platform?
Our needs are pretty easy in that regard. We're a distribution company, and we have quite a lot of data going in. We deliver about 15 million packages a year at this point in time. We have pretty okay-sized databases. I think the total volume right now is somewhere like 500 gigabytes or something like that. And we just, in our case, need to be able to scale the data up to whatever size it needs to be because of increased volume. And of course, when the high seasons come, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, then a lot of people visit our platform, and Singles Day, of course, as well. And we just need to be able to scale and be able to provide the data to our users.
Well, that's interesting. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how do you do that? Do you use cloud? I mean, it's nowadays the default choice for that.
Yeah, I don't think that there's too many people or too many companies that don't do cloud, unless you get towards, let's say, Google or Facebook scale. I think also in most cases that is probably the best thing to do. For us, it definitely goes for that. We have a team of 7 engineers, so having an additional dedicated person to do anything DevOpsy or like setting up the whole platform is just completely unrealistic from a cost point of view. Also, those people have to, get known with the technology, stay educated, spend a lot of time, understanding things. And they also, in general, only work with one use case, which is ours. The moment that we would go to a partner provider, it's different. They have potentially, or in most cases, depending on the size, they've already had experiences with other clients that had similar type of problems. And we can just leverage that type of knowledge. And it's very beneficial for us because there is some additional cost attached to it, but that cost pays its back very, very quickly. If we would do it ourselves, in the long run, it might be beneficial. The problematic part is the might part. Like, we might not be there as a company 2 years from now. We don't know. So for us, it's more important to get things done now, get product to market, be able to test it. That is way more important at this point in time than maybe having the best solution. I think I speak for most experienced engineers that product is not done until you've done it 3 times. Complete rewrite, basically. And we approach everything we do in the same way. And it allows us to iterate very, very quickly and get product to market very, very quickly. When we've been able to do that for the last 2.5 years, we started basically from scratch, and we have a lot of product right now that wasn't there 2.5 years ago. Avon has been able to provide for us, or the cloud in general, AWS, Avon for databases, other entities for other services, mostly regarding GDPR, because that's also a fun thing. Yeah, it's been great in that regard. So
Yeah, I believe cloud has a set of advantages. And coming from 6 years of installing software and installing enterprise software, so I still remember the pain of, okay, can I come to your site next week, or should I wait another month because the hardware is not there? So to you, Oded, I believe they've made really good points about the elasticity and the velocity of clouds. Do you see other benefits of adopting data platforms in the cloud?
So from our point of view, and EverSQL by Ivan has more than 120,000 developers using it. And one of the things that we learn is that business need to have a clear focus. So if you are a restaurant chain, you don't have the resources or the need to focus on your IT environment. And when whatever you can consume from someone who is expert, it's good. And I think cloud is becoming a commodity these days. And I think customers are trying to leverage that in order to get a business advantage and to run faster.
Yeah, I believe that there is a good point there about that you both made. As a customer, as a company, you want to do whatever you're best of doing rather than having to do it all. So the more that you can concentrate on what you are best at doing, the more you can leverage other parties for the other needs, the more you can accelerate your journey. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit. So we talk about the benefits of the cloud. Dave, can you tell us a little bit more about maybe the hidden cost of the cloud itself?
yeah, so cloud, of course, comes with a hidden cost. The hidden cost is that you don't have the knowledge in-house of like how to set up the platform, how it actually runs. I would make a statement that it goes for most things. Even if you're a developer, there are a lot of developers that have very limited idea of like how a compiler works, how the programming language as is actually works, and they still use that with, I would say, almost claim blind trust. And there's nothing wrong with that. These languages are there and they've been developed by people that you could consider to be way better at what they do. And I see cloud in the same ballpark. You can kind of safely assume or expect that they are experts. That, of course, always comes with a downside. But if you would say that there's hidden costs, you could say that about your car, you could say that about your house because you didn't build it yourself. It's kind of like, for me, not per se a bad thing. It's just the reality of things. Everything, whatever you do, is pros and cons. And in my opinion, the pros outweigh the cons vastly. For us, cloud proved itself to be very useful. And shared resources, again, we fall under Sheepstead, a really big company. And yeah, we just use the shared resources there. And it's the same again for cloud companies. They have the shared resources that everybody can use. You can do cost savings because you have multiple tenants on your system. So that's how it works for us. I don't see too many downsides, actually.
Well, I believe you touch a good point, though, that you don't rely on clouds only for the elasticity, but you rely on them to have also the experience in-house on delivering the same workload or similar workloads to the one that you need to implement to a vast number of potential users already. So you are also buying expertise. This is probably the drawback of, if you're buying expertise, this means that you don't have expertise in-house. Oded, for you, I believe maybe this is something that you have seen when founding EverSQL itself.
When we founded EverSQL, we saw that customers are moving into the cloud, and the cloud is promising them automatic upgrades and backup, but there is still a gap where there are things that are still under the responsibility of the customer to do database optimization, schema optimization, performance. And while companies move to the cloud and they fire their DBA, they fire their, or never hire their DevOps team, they still have an area that was kind of a black hole. Who is doing that right now? And that's the opportunity that we saw at EverSQL, that there is a need for an automatic tool to do that.
And I believe that there is a nice point in what you said. As a company, as a startup, or even big companies, sometimes like hiring the DBA 10 years ago was a must for everybody. Now, as a startup, maybe it's not the first need that you have, because cloud makes so easy to get started with databases that a professional figure like a database professional is something that you may want to hire at a later stage. Dave, at your company, how are you managing this kind of optimization? Do you have people dedicated to it? Or what is the size of your development and optimization team and database team?
Yeah, so like already mentioned, we never hired a DBA. That's because scale. We're a small team, we're only 7 developers in total. And there is no direct need for us to have a DBA. Because we're under the umbrella of Sheepstead, we have a lot of people in Sheepstead that do shared services. So we have something called like the Data Foundation, which provides to us specific services or specific things that we might need. For instance, we have our own version of Kubernetes that Sheepstead owns and deploys, and we just basically deploy apps. They don't do any database stuff. That's where we have Avon as a provider, but also AWS. And that's kind of like how it, I would say, for most companies works. They go into the cloud, especially if they're in startup type of world, because in most cases the following applies. The moment that scales becomes a problem, you have the money to fix it. That's just my experience with running in startup type of companies. It's like scalability becomes a problem at the point that it actually becomes a problem, and then you have the money. So
have the money. Do you have the time? So the time in, like when you have a criticality, time is part of the problem. Like you don't have hours, you don't have weeks, to solve the issue. And without a lack of knowledge, how do you address that?
Yeah, that's when you already mentioned it. That's then the knowledge of parties, partners that provide this, or people used to use vendors. I like the word partners way better, but it's the same. They provide all of this knowledge and all of this expertise to you. And as I mentioned before as well, you only have one use case. That's your product. And you are 9 out of 10 times very busy or stuck in your ways. It's like almost like how the horses go, through the roads, and they have the blindfolds on, and that's the only way that we can go. Companies that work with different types of clients normally can come up with different types of potential solutions. And having a partner in that space is perfect. You just talk with them and explain what your problem is, and they potentially can come back with a solution you haven't thought of. Because we only have 7 heads. If I have access to 400 potential solutions, or how many ever developers the company has, somehow, statistically, I'm going to get a better answer. I come from a science background. I go for the statistically one. And we can do peer reviews and the whole 9 yards to make sure that it's all correct and remove bias. I'm not getting to that. That is for me the way that I normally deal with these type of situations. It gives me the air quote correct answer for the use case that we are dealing with, which is it just needs to work. That's actually the only thing that we are interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make a good point that you are dealing with your partners in order to have the correct reply. On the other side, Oded, I believe you with EverSQL took a slightly different angle to this. Can you tell us a little bit more on what you built and why this is effective?
So at EverSQL, we are trying to help customers to make their application 10x faster, because we learned that if an e-commerce site is slow, or if a point of sales is even 2 seconds slow, there is a frustration and customers are churning and companies are losing money. So with EverSQL, we are helping customers to solve this, and we have something called 60 seconds to wow, because today we have more than 120,000 developers using our solution, but all of them are very smart and skeptic people. They don't care about EverSQL, they don't care about Aven, they are just scared to solve their pain. And where they are coming to EverSQL, we have something called 60 seconds to wow, where they are coming to our site. We ask them to submit several of signals and code from their database, and within 60 seconds, we give them value. We help them to do some performance improvement. And by doing this, we're creating the trust, and we are making sure that they would like to try more with EverSQL.
Well, that's in 60 seconds, I believe it's hard to get a grasp of that experience, in my opinion, but I believe when I saw and when I tried EverSQL, you get really kind of the wow effect. Dave, back to you. So all the talk about index recommendation, SQL writes, how do you, from a probably business point of view, can see a tool like EverSQL and the counterpart in Ivan, the Ivan AI database optimizer, helping you in your journey?
Yeah, so we've already used both of them for the same reasons as explained. We have potentially, one might make the statement, too often one-offs that we have to deal with. Distribution, delivering of parcels is, however you want to may say it, a very manual process. Humans are involved, which means mistakes will be made. And that requires sometimes to do one-off changes in directly the database or somewhere. And that one-off job can be slow. And that's because we're missing an index on certain columns that we normally don't use. And in those use cases, we use EverSQL as the Aven AI optimizer to detect for us where those indexes are missing. We start the job, and it basically tells us this query is slow, says us what to optimize, and then we optimize or add the index, and thus optimize the query, and then run the job again. And then instead of it taking potentially an hour, it's done within 10 minutes. So the 10x kind of thing is definitely working for us. I would not recommend people to do this, but we kind of are very liberal with copy pasting whatever result comes out of the optimizer. And so far, knock on wood, we haven't broken production. It works really well. So kudos to everybody that worked on the product. It works.
Well, I believe you made a good point, though, because we are touching a touchy topic. So if you are owning a database, if your company depends on the database, what you want to do is to resolve performance issues in second with an AI assistant like EverSQL or the Ivan AI database optimizer. But also, on the other hand, you are really keen on having stability of performance. So the question for you, Oded, is how do you manage to give insights that you're sure will work for the client?
So from our point of view, this is our bread and butter. The optimization algorithm, which is a combination between heuristic and machine learning models, is what our team invested so much time in that. And up until today, we optimized more than 2 million queries. And we make sure that we do it in a 100% way that the customer will get the right result, because we are building a business for the long run. And in order to have and own a business, we need to create trust. And the first time that we will not provide right recommendation or so-so recommendation, we will lose our business. So that's the reason that we invested so much in this optimization algorithm.
Dave said something about automatic copy and pasting. How much do you see this kind of suggestion mode that is currently available in EverSQL, or how much do you want to move this to a more automated workflow?
So one of the advantages of EverSQL joining Ivan is the ability to do those things behind the scene automatically. One of the vision that we have is to have an always fast database, that customer will take it for granted that on Ivan, their Postgres or their MySQL is always fast. And we want to take care of it and reducing the headache from the customer, making sure that they can focus on building the application while we are making sure that his database is always fast.
I believe there are kind of two use cases. One is where you basically give all the power to the platform itself. On the other hand, maybe you, Dave, you have times when you absolutely don't want to touch the database. So I believe having the flexibility and the ability to switch between the two sometimes give, I want a co-pilot or a pilot helping me in the journey. Other times, I know Black Friday is coming. We want to be more sensitive about what we're going to change and have the ability to possibly tune between the two, I believe gives you a little bit more flexibility and control.
Yeah, I mean, I personally would never ever want to see a system that automates queries for me on the go with adding indexes or something like that because of the potential cost of CPU, cost, storage, anything like that. There have been multiple examples of specific providers that don't have like rooftops when it comes to costs. They could add something might go wrong, a misconfiguration, all of a sudden your bill goes from $10,000 to $100,000 or $150 because something happened. Those are always things that really need to be taken into consideration, and especially also the example that you gave for big known or expected higher volume in traffic around Black Friday or any of those particular specific holidays. Yeah, automation would not be great in that regard, as in like it happens automatically, like without any consent given. The suggestion system, that for me works perfectly. That is the way that I would like to see it. Probably even a combination of it's a suggestion and then I can plan when I want it to be done. If I could get both that would be perfect. We already do that with upgrades, and we are very quickly with upgrading to newer versions, in our case of Postgres. Very quickly going to new versions and stuff like that because of optimization, speed improvements, and we have a relatively small volume and easy way to roll back where we can actually then test also for the open source community in this regard, specific features that they've implemented. We can put volume through it and then tell them, okay, we maybe saw like a regression bug here or something like that where they can potentially fix it. And that's the same with products like Aven or EverSQL, where we use the tool and then we also give feedback. Parts that might be good, parts that we see that could be an improvement delivered, a use case that might not have been thought of, because we are kind of a weird business in that regard as well. Our products are kind of like not your average day product in that sense. So yeah, guess that's all I have to add about that.
No, I believe you made a very good point there about collaborations between partners. And the other good point that you made before is about having control on what is changed. And also regarding costs specifically. Oded, I believe when you were building EverSQL, you were building not only for performance, but keeping also cost in mind. Part of the recommendation should cover also that.
Yes, and that's something that we learn from our customers. One of the things that while the engineering team see the performance improvement, they would like to show their management, here we save X amount of dollar. So we added a visible insight saying, by optimizing this query or by removing those duplicated indexes, you can save $3,000 a month on storage and CPU. So we added this extra information to make sure the work that is done is also visible on the cost and efficiency side.
We saw like how kind of a smart tool like EverSQL, the Ivan AI database optimizer, is meant to a wide set of target personas. It's not only for a developer optimizing one query, but it's also for other people dealing with the database. Oded, can you explain a little bit more why this is relevant for a wide variety of people?
When we started EverSQL, it was all about query optimization. But with our first customer, we asked them, what else can we do for you? How can we save you time or money? And we added the following. We added performance prediction, the ability to identify a performance bottleneck before your customer will see it. We added the option to do API of code scanning to integrate EverSQL into your CI/CD process, so you can what is called shift left. You can scan your code before it go to production and identify performance problem. We added the ability to get daily reports on your Slack, seeing how is your performance doing today versus yesterday, and many other features that today are serving developer, DevOps people, FinOps people, CTO, and other personas in the organization.
It seems to me that bringing AI to the database, the original target persona would be the kind of the DBAs, the people that are working day to day with the database. But the reality is that for companies, the spread and the gain is across a set of different levels. I want to follow up on this kind of AI term. We see AI adoption across a wide set of technologies. Dave, where do you see AI making the change in the data world?
Yeah, I would say most likely in situations or scenarios where EverSQL sits, or the AI part from that, which is like for optimization of potentially ingestion, adding indexes, those kind of things, because we're getting more and more people in that space that are not familiar with that space. Again, a good example that I have from Helthjem is we have more and more people that have no traditional database type of background that actually work directly with the data. They go into systems like Tableau or QuickSight from AWS, where they can query the data. And those queries are normally very unoptimized. It's very optimistic. And they will take time because of that. Or some sort of like technology has to happen where they go into memory and all of that shenanigans. It would be great for me to see tooling like that for that group of people. Basically, let's say you have those dummy books, that for SQL would be great, where it gets automated or optimized for people that are going or coming into the business. I think you would then also be faster to onboard those people, to get more people interested in how it works. Because if you're starting as a developer or as a DBA or in any of the side things attached to that, and it's just a lot of data. It's a lot of information. It becomes overload. Like, I have to think about this, I have to think about that. If you have some sort of tool, it's the same as like Copilot on GitHub. It's help. It's almost like pair programming. And I see in the world of data the same, where AI becomes like a sort of pair programming type of thing, where somebody makes a suggestion. Are you sure you want to do this? There's some computation cost attached to this, where it's like somebody's looking over your shoulder so that you are, let's say, better informed. You make better educated guesses about the decisions that you make. I think tooling in that specific world would be absolutely amazing to see. And I see more and more products like EverSQL and similar type of things that Supabase is doing, where that is helping. It's making life easier for developers. They can make better decisions. And then, of course, that rolls out to faster iterations, faster product to market, etc. The only thing that I am a little bit worried about is that it will become too many, let's say, software like SaaS services that you have to onboard as a developer before you can actually develop a product. I will not throw people under the bus here, but I have seen certain frameworks or programming languages or things built on specific programming languages where if I want to use the product, I have to like onboard into 14 different products, SaaS products, before I can actually have something running. And then they say, yeah, but it's fast. Yeah, I'm sorry, but if I have to learn 14 different things to make this thing work, that's too much, right? If an AI would pick that up and would suggest to me, well, I can set up these 14 accounts for you, as an example, that would already be, say a saving grace. Yeah, I hope that AI will do that in the future. Not so much, again, what you said, buzzword Friday, enter something, and I don't know, like what MacGyver used to do. Take a paperclip and a potato and I have a plane. Yeah, a bit unrealistic.
You make a very valid point there. AI is meant to simplify people's life, but at the end of the day, if to simplify your life, you have to onboard 50 different tools, your life is not anytime simpler. So I believe also the good point about enabling fast data discovery, explaining the complexity behind decision, and allowing people to do their work better is something that where AI can help a lot. Oded, to finish up with you, what's in your future? What is in the EverSQL future? What is in the Ivan AI Database Optimizer future?
So as Ivan is your trusted data and AI platform, we want to make sure we are helping our customer to focus on their business. So Ivan focus on developers. We are already working on new developers tool. We already have 18 tools for developers to save them time. We are working on more. And we have the AI optimization layer. Today it runs on MySQL and Postgres, but we are planning to add the AI optimization layer to other data layers that Ivan provide. And by doing that, again, provide a unique differentiator that Ivan is the only AI optimized data platform.
And I believe this is a cool thing because it makes us both kind of the future looking. Because by creating a smart data platform, which allows you to optimize your work, but at the same time doesn't need you to onboard new tools, you get the benefits of including AI in a safe mode with more than 2 million queries already optimized. And at the same time, you don't have to subscribe to other 15 services. So Dave, Oded, it was a pleasure talking to you. And I'm excited for what is coming and what you are doing. And I hope to speak to you soon.
Well, that was an awesome discussion that you had with them. So one thing I do want to quickly say that stood out to me was Oded talking about the 60 seconds to wow. And I was really impressed by that. And the mindset of you have 60 seconds to make an impression and deliver quality and, make it impactful. I would love to hear what your favorite part was.
Well, the 60 seconds, it's first of all, a nice example of a product being able to show immediately value where it's needed. But my favorite two parts were in kind of different, again, directions. One was about when Dave was talking about the cloud adoption and the fact that you don't adopt cloud only for the agility, for the velocity that cloud can bring you, but also for the expertise that you find in a vendor or even better in a partner. Like this kind of duality between, this shift from a vendor to a partner that is able to work with you, that is there where you need it, when you need it, is kind of critical for companies to be able to deliver solution at scale and trustable solution, because trust is a main part of our journey with data, with solutions that we are creating. The other interesting bit was, okay, we have a partner, but then we have AI that can help us doing a better job. And what Dave touched about was the fact that, yes, AI can help, but if to onboard AI, I need to subscribe to 15 different services, then it's still a problem for the company because
Definitely.
You cannot onboard. You don't have the time to onboard those 15 services. So what Oded and the team in Ivan are doing now is to embed AI functionalities in the tools that people are already using. So they don't need to onboard new tools. They have AI insights that are facilitating their work, that are enhancing the developer experience, allowing them to solve performance issues in minutes instead of days, and reducing risk to when they have to develop new features just with the same Ivan for Postgres that they are already using. It's just there. They can build automation if they want to. They can use the suggestion method if they want to, but it's just the privilege of being able to use AI with the simplicity of using the same tooling that you are already using.
Definitely. That's very common too. Organizations are busy. They have large teams, things can be complex. And there's organizations that are also small and they have limited bandwidth. They can't be learning 60 things at once. So when Dave said that, I feel that resonates across the board, no matter what size your organization is. Having more people doesn't mean you have more time to learn, and you need to be able to get going really quickly.
Yeah, I believe there is a nice quote that says, if you have one person to do one task, it will take them 1 month. If you put 2 persons to do 2 tasks, it will take them 2 months. I believe with AI, we are not going to solve this. However, what we can do is to allow people to focus on what really matters to them. Like with cloud, what we did is instead of having them to manage the database, we took the database management out. With EverSQL and the Ivan AI database optimizer, what we are doing is not only taking the management out, but taking all the optimizations part out, providing them insights when they need it, where they need it, so they can just action on them. They can copy and paste if they want. They will be able to automate. It's up to them to take the best decision for their business.
They can make the best decision, and it just leaves so much more time to innovate, right? That's what everyone wants to do. They want to be innovative. They want to build the next best thing, and it comes down to time. And can you prioritize? Can you cut out some busy, not that it's busy work, but can you streamline any part of your day-to-day as a developer, as a team, as an organization to keep moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Time optimization, like we lack time now. And anything that we can do to give people time and give people focus, it's a win for the customer.
100%. And I'm really excited for people to hear this. So thank you so much again for sitting down with them and then following up with me.
Well, thank you.